Phoenix 6-1 here with some more World of Warships Legends shenanigans stuff, right? So now we have the madness, right? So this week marked the first week that you could, if you didn't outright just spend a bunch of money on the madness crates, right? So what I did is this is the third week. I grinded these missions out the last week on Monday. And so you were able to get an extra 1,000 for each of these, right? So there are 3 missions that were resetting weekly. And so if you did them all, and then plus I think I might have gotten some of the Skulls currency from like a code or something that Legends had posted somewhere. But anyway, so you can see I have 100% free to play. I have 11,500 of this currency. You need 12,500 to buy the ship. So you have to spend some money if you want the madness, right? And it's, of all of the paid ships, this is probably on the lighter side, right? If you do it this way. But basically you'd have to buy 4 of these. They're called ragged boxes, right? You'd have to get 4 of these because, you could buy the 5-pack, but then you'd end up with an extra 250. There's no deal as far as how much and how many you get until you go up to the buying 25 of these things, right? Which I don't recommend doing. But yeah, so what I'll do is I'm gonna do it, right? I'm gonna buy 4 of these, and if you think about it, right, that's 4,000 doubloons. I don't really know it's even still kind of not worth it, right? Because if you think about like a campaign, right, if you're gonna buy Admiralty backing, that's only 2,500 doubloons, and you get a premium ship. You'd have to, of course, play through the campaign, but still, right? Even having grinded through the Rust and Rumble event, I still had to pay 4,000 doubloons, which I'll go in and show it's like a little less than maybe like $15. I don't know however you want to look at it, right? But so we'll go in here and purchase the madness. Now, if you don't want to spend anything, right, there's other stuff in here that you can get, right? You could get there's a Commander Geist for the Skulls currency, right? And she's, of course, half naked, right? Like,
Yeah,
great.
yeah, I'll handle it.
So you can get that. These other ones cost doubloons, so I'm not picking them up, right? Those are just Geises. There's no, no perk. But there are 2 ship skins that, if you do what I did, you could get both of these free, right? Like, because I had 11,500 of the Skulls, right? So if you had grinded through all the missions all 3 weeks, right, you could pick up both of these ship skins for free, right? Like if you just played the missions, right? I know and then there's other stuff in here that's, just smaller, things, right? So I know some people, if like, I need promotion orders or insignias, like they use that currency to get those things, right? So just make sure at the end of the week, right, at the end of the event, you got to spend those, because that all goes away, right? That currency goes away, so it never comes back. So, but yeah, so you're looking at, like, if you want 4,000 doubloons, you're probably going to buy the $20 worth and get this 5,625, right? So, but it's, so then you'd end up with 1,600 doubloons extra, right? So it's, like 15-ish bucks, somewhere around there is probably what you're spending in reality, right? So, we'll go check out the madness. This is very, very much so a Zeiten, however you say that, right? The regular German battleship, battle cruiser line that you would say. The biggest difference being this exhaust smoke generator, and then of course how it looks, right? So you could still put on the secondary battery booster, but I would think, like, if you're gonna get this ship, I would still do it. I would use the smoke generator, right? Like, because that's its unique thing, right? And I'm probably gonna use this Zeus Olympian. I forget who. I think that maybe is Otto Celiax, right? And I have a couple paid commanders in here, right, that I use in some other places, but I would say that I still think this guy's better anyway, because this is the build that I'm using for my German battle cruiser line anyway, right? Because you're limited on your damage cons, so that's why I use this guy, because he's got this highly educated crew perk, which gives you more damage control charges, right? So, and then, yeah, like that's probably the biggest reason I'm using this guy versus somebody else. He's got another secondary perk here, which is nice. And then, of course, I tend to lean in towards properly meticulous. I know some people like to use the master mechanic, the one in the middle there, because then you get an extra heal. But I like having the survivability of the secondary stuff, right? And then legendary perks, you could probably use any of them, right? So, but yeah, so we get, with that build, we get 5 damage control parties, you can see, and if I switch it to somebody else, I've only got the 3, right? So I think if you would, yeah, so like that's kind of the way I'm leaning with my build, right? Like, so yeah, like she's good, right? But like I use her on pretty much all my other, like my German battleships that don't have limited number of damage cons and that do have the like secondary targeting boosters, right? And that, because this is like, that's all about the like all of her perks, right? So you could put her on there and then use the secondary battery booster, you know, consumable instead of the smoke. But then I'm like, I might as well just play Z10, right? So yeah, I'm using auto celiacs, right? So the Zeus guy is just a Geist, right? To make it sound different and have shell tracers, whatever, right? So free to play commander, right? Then you would use Franz von Hipper and then whoever else you have. And then, so yeah, for the loadout, I'm going to build into kind of what you would typically expect of a secondary build. We'll go secondary battery, concealment, propulsion mod, and then I even picked reload here for secondaries, right? And there is, I want to call out, there is a couple of slight differences between the Madness and the Z10. So here we have the Z10, I have the same commander on there, I have the same modules and everything on here, right? Like these are all the same, everything being the same. If I go into like the specs, right, I think what they did with the Madness is they gave you a little more health, and then they took away a little bit of secondary range. So here the secondaries is 12.1 kilometers. And if you look at the Madness, it's slightly 11.3, right, with the same exact build. And I think that, like, I think speed was like slightly better on the Madness, and I think the health pool was slightly better, right? So it's like somewhat insignificant tweaks, and so I really don't think it's worth spending the money. I really do like how it looks. Aside from the weird rammy thing on the front, I think it's got a cool, like, you know, it's got a cool rustic vibe to it, right? Like, yeah. But anyway, so I'll go into a couple games. Actually, I only played 2 games with this thing so far. So this first one, I think we end up losing. I end up dying here at some point. But yeah, so I tried to sneak into the zone here, and there's a destroyer over in the B cap spotting me, and I was trying to just get out of line of sight from that destroyer in the B cap, and then I was gonna like maybe go like turn back around, right? But I end up going out wide, and we kind of all know how this goes, right? You're at risk of, especially if somebody's using radar on you, right? You're at risk of like whatever pops around the corner at the same time on the other side, right? That the red team's probably doing the exact same thing half the time. But with a ship like this, you do get the longer range sonar, and then the sort of shtick with the ship would be to use the rolling smoke consumable, and it only goes for like 35 seconds or so. So I think that's why you might argue against using it, but then I'm like, well, then just don't get the ship, just play Z10, right? Like, the only difference would be that it's a premium and you'd make a little bit more silver, I guess, on it, you know? But here's kind of what you want to do with this ship, right? So I'm going to drop the smoke, and then I'm going to trigger the sonar, and you can see we're not spotted, right? And so we can just sail around with all 3 of these ships being within range of our secondaries, and just let them go to work, right? But you only get the like 35 seconds or so of that, you know. So it's yeah, and of course I'm not broadside to these guys, right? So, and of course, yeah, they figure it out, and they're gonna trip radar and sonar themselves, right? That's a tier 7, so all that stuff exists out there, right? I did prioritize the destroyer for the secondaries, and then I took the torpedo shot at the battleship that was moving this direction. And I'm like, all right, I've definitely over pushed at this point, right? There's 4 ships over here. Split could be sending more torpedoes any second, you know, right? So I'm like, all right, let's see if we can get out of this engagement and circle back around and see if we can survive to fight another day. And then potentially cap the zone too, because you notice we did kind of push all 4 of them away from the zone as well. So like, well, I'm like, all right, if you guys are going to ignore the zone, I'll go and cap it, right? So we'll do that, and then you can see, yeah, I've got it maxed out as far as I could for secondary range. So it's like 11.3, I think it was, whatever. And so we're still hitting all these guys, right? But I'm going to take some pretty snarly hits here just because of how I'm angled, because I'm trying to get back into the zone. We do get the torpedo hit on the Duke of York. So yeah, like we're doing good. Like it's fine. Like, and you know, we managed to survive our push, right? And we're circling back in to see if we can survive and actually do some work for this game, other than be a distraction for the first 3 minutes, right? But yeah, so I particularly like having the extra damage control parties, right? So we've used 2 now, and we still have 3, right? So like I find myself using them a lot, and that's kind of why I lean into this particular build, right? The auto Celiax build. And right, that's a free-to-play commander too, so you don't have to worry about that. You can pick him up when, you know, from the, you know, with Commander XP or box or whatever, right? So yeah, so we'll go undetected. We'll duck behind the island here. We'll wait for our damage count to come back, and I can put out this fire if I want. But more importantly, we'll actually cap the zone and do some work for this team, right? For this game. And then I'm going to see, right, like, you know, my destroyer really kind of went way up there too, and I just can't, you know, you could argue I should have stayed back and supported him, but I don't know how long that would last. I would be dead. I kind of consumed all of my health resource, right? So whether this strategy was the right thing to do or not, you could argue probably, maybe, kind of, sort of, yes or no, right? Like, you go either way with that. But we'll slow down and cap the zone here. And then I did decide to let the fire burn out. And then we do have our smoke screen ready again if we need it, right? So you get 3 of those. So zone capped. We'll start moving up. Do kind of have to worry about, you know, between the little crack here, what, you know, we'll probably end up getting spotted by what's ever on the other side. Yeah, we're down to like a third of our health now. Can maybe get this Cleveland here. No Constellation. Yep, my torpedoes got destroyed on that side, right? Classic German German battleship. Torpedoes, we got a nice shot on the Constellation, we'll take it. We're not going to do anything huge and heavy with it, right, like with these guns, but we'll take the shot that we got. And then I'll push up and see if we can cap B, and then we can potentially try our, like, rolling smoke screen trick again. And then, yeah, we lost both destroyers, which is always, that's always huge, right? Like, if you know, like, yeah. You guys know me, I always preach this, like, don't, like, if you're a destroyer, don't die. Like, stop it. Like, just, like, it just having one destroyer on a, you know, against a team that has all of their destroyers destroyed is, like, just such a huge advantage, right? If that player can go out and know to, like, do some spotting and help the team and cap some zones, right? So, but yeah, so we'll slow down here just to make sure we get the zone cap. And then it looked like Constellation was continuing to move up here, so I'll give it a second here to just see what comes of this, right? I'm kind of looking at the mini-map trying to decide if my teammates are going to keep any of these guys spotted for me. Yeah, see, they all went undetected now. So I was kind of thinking, like, if I go around the corner and spot them and then drop my rolling smoke, then they're going to go unspotted too, right? So, and the other thing too, you got to think, like, if you're in the rolling smoke and you want to stay undetected, you have to make sure you don't fire your main battery guns. So we'll hold off on doing that. But yeah, here comes the Constellation. So I've kind of figured, right, let's push up and let's make a U-turn here and see if we can go back and help support C a little bit, and, like, sneak in there. But we really don't have the health for this at this point, but I just kind of was like, all right, let's try and get some fun interactions with the ship. So yeah, so somebody spots Constellation, I'll trip the rolling smoke, and I'll see if we can get turned here. We do have torpedoes available on the port side here, but he's moving away, so we're not going to be able to hit him. But yeah, this is kind of the way to go with, at least in my opinion, right? Like, if you weren't going to use the rolling smoke, I'd be like, well, why get the ship? Because you could just play Z-10 and it's not that much different, right? So I was like, all right, I got to at least try and use the rolling smoke, right? So we'll get the torpedoes off here, and I made a royal screw up here by not watching where I was going, and I beached myself. I think I probably would have survived a little bit longer here, but this Duke of York is out in front of me too, so how much longer I would have lasted versus what I last here, right? But we did get up to, you know, we've got, you know, over 100 secondary battery hits now at this point. We've got 90,000 damage. It's like not half bad of game. Torpedo hit, right? We capped 2 zones, right? So we did some work there, but I think I go back and check at the end of this video to see if we actually won or lost that game. I think we ended up losing it. So, excuse me. So we'll go into game 2 here. And so I skipped ahead just a little bit here. I think I only had like 4,000 damage on the board here, and I actually got stuck against a battleship on this flank. You can see there were 2 battleships that spawned on this flank, me and another guy. And the other person wanted to ditch the flank, and so I ran into him, and we got stuck against each other. And then he got spotted, so people were shooting him. So I used the rolling smoke because we were like, you know how it goes. You like ram into each other, and then sometimes you get like stuck there, and it takes forever to like back up and move. So I used the rolling smoke to like stop taking fire from that. Tirpitz B out there. I noticed he wasn't looking this direction, right? So he's looking at somebody else where, you know, I'm looking where his guns are. So I'm okay if I turn out and turn a little bit broadside to him. And then this is going to be another, you know, this is where these ships shine. You can see the secondary batteries firing on all sides here. So they're doing their work. We got a Kutuzov up here. I'm hoping to get main battery hits on. Right, and so since all of these guys are spotted over here, you know, I'm gonna figure I'll use the rolling smoke and just kind of sail through it, right? So like while the secondaries are firing, while other people have these guys spotted, we can just take advantage of it. And then here's where it's really gonna shine. I'm gonna push up on this destroyer here, who also dropped smoke. But this is where it's gonna kind of, you know, this is one of those scenarios where you get the right scenario and it just kind of feels like cheating, right? So I'm gonna trip the sonar, which is like 5.7 kilometer range for ships. And just like he's screwed, like he can't see me, I can see him. I won't even fire the main guns, because if I fire the main guns, I'm gonna get spotted, right? So, but the smoke does run out. But I was like, well, I might as well, you know, he's got so little health, right? We'll let the secondaries finish him off, and then we'll get the main batteries on somebody else here. But yeah, both these guys are still in range, and we're doing quite a bit better health-wise with this strategy than I did with the first game there. But we've only got 30,000 damage done, so, you know, it's give or take. So we'll let secondaries work, and then I'm just going to make sure I get angled properly here. You could argue, like, you know, it might not be worth sitting in the zone here just because they're going to keep getting hits on me and keep resetting it, right? But I figure I'll stay on the ground and play the flank, keep them from getting points off the zone since they did get it captured, right? We'll try and avoid these torpedoes. See if we can get a decent hit on the Tirpitz. And torpedoes died out, so that's good for us. And we'll see if Kutuzov is angled for us or not. It doesn't look like he is now. We'll maybe take the shot at the Tirpitz then with the main guns. And then I'm going to try and angle a little bit better. Alright, at least the 2 rear turrets can hit him. We'll shoot the Kutuzov with the front turret, and we'll shoot the Tirpitz with the back turrets while the secondaries go to town on him, right? So, yeah, I just like this is kind of why I like properly meticulous over master mechanic, right? Like the secondaries don't, I feel like they do better and they last longer, right? Like if I don't run properly meticulous, then I feel like the modules are getting damaged, and then if they don't, you know, if they get destroyed, then it's like, well, what's the point in having the build that way anyway? Yeah, so, but you sacrifice a heal, right? So I have 1 less heal than I could have. But yeah, these are doing great work, setting fires. I don't think I shot HE shells out of the main battery at all, and we've got 7 fires. Was gonna try and cheese and get that Fiji, but somebody else finished him off. And then didn't even need the torpedoes. We got Arsonist off of the Tirpitz. See if we can get 1 last salvo on the Kutuzov. Sure, I'm saying that ship wrong. Right, but now we got the zone cap. We kind of dominated over here on this flank. Got a decent amount of health left, right? Way better than last game. So we're doing it right for once. And then I don't need to be backing up. I was like, why didn't I start moving forward sooner, right? This guy's going to kite away, and then so I'm just going to start pushing up towards the other, you know, I'm going to start pushing up through the middle of the map and trying to help out with the other sides, with the middle and the other side. He goes undetected. We're going to go undetected since we're not firing the guns anymore. So we'll push up. I think what ends up happening, this game ends up being kind of short, actually, because I think the last 3 ships here die out pretty quickly. I think what happens is there's only 3 of them left, and they've only got 96 points and no zones. So I think once 2 of them go down, and we'll get the Kutuzov here too in a second because he gets picked up. Yeah, so once 2 of them go down, then it's game over. I think they lose all their points, so we'll push up. Yeah, and you can see I am running Will to rebuild, but I think the other options for the commander for your legendary perk are, yeah, here he is, nice and broadside. You know, running with scissors or fight fire with fire, which both are good choices for brawling builds like this. So he's gonna try and drop his smoke, but we got the shot off just in time anyway, and he's like perfectly broadside. So boosh, it's 1 Citadel hit that ends him, and that gets us high caliber. And then yeah, now they've only got 46 points left, and we're at 950. So yeah, either way, we're gonna win really quick here, and then we'll go through the ship again. I'm not sure why. I don't know if the cruiser thinks that ship's still there, but he's dead. So yeah, I think all right, we're gonna end up winning on points here. Didn't realize that I took him out, I guess. Oh yeah, so I'll take a look at this game and how we did, and then actually go back and look at that first game that we played. So yeah, we still, yeah, felt like we were doing the right things, and we still only got third there, right? But made a decent amount of silver, right? So like tier 7's kind of where it's at for silver earnings if you're, if that's what you're going for. But yeah, I was curious like if I won the previous game or not, because we died kind of early and we did lose. So I'll see where we placed here. And I got second, so I did better team-wise for my brawl there and made 200 grand, so I made a little less credits, right? Winning always helps with all that stuff. But yeah, I was like, I'll take a quick peek at the stats here, right? So yeah, that was my best game there. So yeah, I've literally only played 2 games, won 1, lost 1, so we're at 50-50 on that. But yeah, that's going to be our video for the day, guys. Thanks for watching all the way through. Yeah, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That really does help me out. I try to do Legends videos just about every single day. And then we occasionally live stream. It's kind of random when I live stream, so if you're interested in that, make sure you hit the bell, hit the notification thing, so that way we get notified if I'm going to be on. Yeah, we just kind of hang out and casual gameplay, take suggestions on what ships to play and stuff like that. So, and just kind of have fun with it. Not too serious on live stream. Yeah, so, but thanks again. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.